is because being a technical person and being somebody in the agricultural field and having so much connection to food, I think as an island nation, we need to explore more our options in terms of the food options we have and the ingredients and different things that we have as an island nation, as opposed to bigger countries like North America and in the United States and Canada. We need to study more foodology. Ology means the study of food, and we need to look at more of what we have to offer here. So, we start the presentation. So I want this to be a more interactive presentation. I don't want to be standing here talking straight through, so I will be asking you questions throughout just to get some information from you, as well as just to make sure you're understanding where I'm coming from. So I'm so happy to see so many different people here from all the different schools. Anybody involved in agricultural programs at their schools, in addition to culinary programs? Yeah? Good, good. So you also have access to, do you use the ingredients at the school? For those of you who have schools that have agricultural programs, do you use the ingredients when you cook? Yes? Which school is that? Sorry? North Andrews, of course. Mr. Badu, of course. Yes. Poster child for agriculture in the schools. Well, the CV battle. Nobody else has an agriculture program in their school? Yeah, Fadley, you use the ingredients there? Yeah? Central, of course. Mr. Clue. Oh, yeah, y'all big poultry and small ruminant section there. I always keeping up with that. CV Bethel, of course. I live around the corner, so I always go there to Miss Johnson. So I'm waiting on the presentation, right? Mm-hmm. All right, so one of the most important things I think between producers and people who actually prepare our food, our chefs and our culinarians, is that we need to have a better linkage between the food that we prepare for our tourists and the food that we eat ourselves. I don't think that's the wrong presentation. The one that says, Shikara light one on it. Yes, it should have. All right, and so happy to see we have a meat fabrication. Like, stick around for that. A meat fabrication workshop. I'm thinking this is from Mr. George Melis in Adelaide. That's who it's from? All right, yeah, I had some quail at the food festival. It was very good. So I think you're all in for a good time today. No, that's just the bio. That's not the presentation. Maybe I just need to hook it up to my... It's not in there. It's 2 emails. It's 2 emails. Hello? Hello. All right, so I think we're back in business. Well, thank you for being so patient for our technical difficulties. All right, so we're moving into our topic for today, which is Bahamian culinary art, sustainability through land and sea. And just a couple of pictures here of certain things. A lot of what I do is training and education, as well as creating linkages between agriculture and tourism. In the top corner, there is a picture of my son there at the Bluefield Farms, which is an aquaponics farm out west of New Providence. And of course, everybody knows Chef Simeon Hall, my representation. He's also the chairman of the Agri-Tourism Council, and I am the deputy chair under the Tourism Development Corporation. And then at the bottom there is a beekeeping training that I held in May. I did 3 islands. It was called the Bahamas Bee College, and we did training in Eleuthera, Abaco, and New Providence. So it really was a great time. We did training, just basics of beekeeping, as well as showing people all the different products you can get from bees. So this is just a little promo video of my company, Island Foodology. She's gonna play it.
Let's talk about sustainability, food for you and me. Make it simple, keep it locally. In the island breeze, training offered by community. Help yourself and me, agriculture for the family. Environmentally, I think maybe you could use the tools to give the children a future. Growing safe quality food. So make a change with Island Foodology. Let's talk about.
All right, so that's just to give you an idea of what I do. A lot of it is training in food safety and different technical areas of agriculture. And like I said, creating those linkages. One of my clients, they're Prairie View A&M University out of Texas. They're interested in doing a study abroad program here in the Bahamas, so I'm doing some work with them. As well as I'm very much interested in working with our local schools, as well as trying to start some agriculture schools, agricultural programs more in our schools, because I think we need more of that. So I want to start with talking about what is food security. Anybody give me their own definition of what food security is? Yes. Right? That's one definition of it. Yes? Food safety is very, very important. Doesn't make sense having good-looking food and it's not good enough for people to eat. Right? What else is there? Give me one more definition. Anybody? You have a cheat sheet right there. All right, so the United Nations, actually the Food and Agriculture Organization, defines food security as meaning that all people at all times have physical, social, and economic access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food that meets their food preferences and dietary needs for an active and healthy life. Okay, so the 4 pillars of food security is availability. It must be available to you. You must have access to it. And availability, you understand the difference between availability and access? Yeah, availability means it's there. It could be there, but you don't have access to it, right? And then you must be able to utilize it. It must be safe for you to eat. It could be grown there, but it might not be safe to eat. You can't utilize it. And then it must have the last pillar is stability. Now, people use this food security and food sovereignty interchangeably. Everybody knows what food sovereignty is? Anybody ever heard of what food sovereignty is? Heard that before, that term before? No? 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 All right. Food sovereignty prioritizes local and national economies and markets and empowers family farmer-driven agriculture, artisanal fishing, pastoralist grazing, and food production, distribution, and consumption based on environmental, social, and economic sustainability. Basically, food sovereignty is taking more of an environmental approach to the way we produce food, less of that factory farming that we have going on in the bigger countries, and more taking into account a more holistic approach to the way that we produce food. So just to quickly go over the pillars of food sovereignty, the first pillar focuses on food for people. It puts people's need for food at the center of the policies, especially when governments are making decisions about food. They have to take the people in mind instead of just making decisions in the vacuum. They have to take in consideration all the different aspects of the livelihoods of the people they're making decisions for. So in our case, in the Bahamas, because we're an archipelago, you kind of have to look, it's kind of like a local government approach. Every island has their own way of doing things, and I've traveled basically the whole country, and I could tell you the way they do agriculture in Abaco is different than they do it in Auckland and Crooked Island and different places. So with food sovereignty, those policies have to be looked at on an individual basis so that they can make decisions for the people who it's going to affect. Just so you know, this picture here is a composting workshop we did in Eleuthera. And composting is a big way that we could help to go towards mitigating climate change. As you know, in the Bahamas, we don't have very good soil. We don't have a lot of abundant soil like some of the other Caribbean islands. So it's very important that we learn how to build our soil and add back to the earth so that we're able to have a more abundant harvest. So composting, the importance of healthy soils is a very important aspect of food production. Go back, please. The second thing is build knowledge and skills. It's another pillar of food sovereignty. We like to build on traditional knowledge, and one of the examples I like to use is with bush medicine. I was talking, I think when Bahama first opened, I spoke to the chef, I think it was the manager of Rosewood, and he was so interested in all the bush teas that we had here in the Bahamas. He was from Portugal. He's like, oh my God, I bought every bush tea book I could find in the Bahamas. Why aren't y'all using these on the table? This is a part of our traditional knowledge, but we take it for granted. You know, I know everybody here use bush tea, right? Mostly everybody at some point use bush tea, including myself. For some reason, if you don't go to the doctor, or that's like a stage before you go to the doctor, let me try drink some bush, see if that clear it up. And then if it clear it up, then I'm good. If it get worse, maybe I'll go to the doctor. But that traditional knowledge is still ingrained in us, and I think a part of that is that we need to do more research on our natural resources that we have here in the country. The other pillar, like I said, uses research to support and pass this knowledge to the future generations. What's not to say we can't create a whole business or industry in exporting bush teas. I mean, we have these bush teas. We have 5 Finger, Strongback, Love Vine on every island, almost every island in this country. Don't you think that could be a good export commodity? I'm tired of going to Bahama and seeing Earl Grey and French breakfast, whatever. I mean, I'd like to have some bush tea options, but I think in order for us to do that, we probably need to do a little bit of more research on what we have and the effects it actually has on people. I mean, obviously, it's not a whole lot of effects because we still take it ourselves, but for scientific purposes and for food purposes, we have to have that validation and that laboratory testing to be able to sell it probably on a large-scale commercial stage. So the other thing is, this pillar rejects technologies that undermine or contaminate local food systems. So those big mechanized farming and just ripping up the whole land and not taking any consideration to the indigenous plants and animals mainly in those areas, that's not all part of food sovereignty. Food sovereignty is about working with the land and working with what we have, implementing agroforestry techniques, and kind of working with the land instead of destroying everything. Another thing is food sovereignty works with nature. It optimizes the contributions of the ecosystems, and it also improves resilience. That means you have to do your research. You have to know what kind of soil you have. And that can be simply done by soil testing. You need to know how much, if you're going to use fertilizer, how much fertilizer to use instead of indiscriminately just pouring stuff. Anybody know any farmers who just pour things? They don't have no gear on, and it's like, well, if they say put 1 teaspoon in, maybe if I put a cup in, that'll make it even better. I have farmers who do that. Like, it's not, they don't measure anything, they don't keep farm records. I just feel like more is better, and sometimes more is not better. You're being counteractive with your production system. So in order for you to be able to optimize your ecosystem, you need to know what you have. You have to operate from a position of strength and knowledge before you can move forward and go with certain interventions. The fourth thing is it values food providers. It supports sustainable livelihoods, and it respects the work of all food providers. And that means that, you can't just go to the farm and say, I want your things for 5 cents. I mean, how are people supposed to live off of that, I've been to many farmers market, and people literally won't come and get your things for nothing. They don't take into consideration that the work you had to put into it, the labor cost. The labor cost in the Bahamas is very, very high. All the things you have to put into to get this product. Yes, the product is a little bit higher cost here in the Bahamas because our labor cost is high as well as our electricity costs. And then we have transportation issues. All of this has to be considered in the cost of production when we talk about food in the Bahamas. Now, if you're on the family island and the food is just staying within the island, that's probably fine. But it has to go to the boat, you got to pay for freight, so many people got to handle this food before it actually reaches the Nassau. So you have to take that in consideration when you're paying for food. And you have to make sure people could earn a sensible living. That's why a lot of people now don't want to go into farming because they're not being supported and people don't understand that this is a way of life for them. And food sovereignty takes this into consideration. Next slide. I'm just going to go quickly through these. 5, it localizes food systems. It actually reduces distance between food providers and consumers. It rejects dumping and inappropriate food aid. It resists dependency on remote and unaccountable corporations. 6, it puts control locally, and everything is local. Local is the word for the day, local. The closer your food is to you, the better it is for you, and that's in every case. So places control in the hands of local food providers. It recognizes the need to inhabit and to share territories, and it rejects the privatization of natural resources. Our natural resources belongs to everybody. It shouldn't be a private entity. Nobody should have full control of our natural resources. So that's one of the things that food sovereignty actually deals with. And the last thing is food is sacred. I mean, before you need anything else, before you need air, you need water, and you need food before you need clothes or shelter. If you don't eat in how many days? How long can you last without food? Maybe 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks maybe, depending on your body. But how long could you last without water? Well, 3 days, right? And you have to consider water as a part of agriculture. Agriculture is the clothes you have on. Some of you wearing cotton. There's non-food agriculture and there's food agriculture. So everything, you have to realize you have to treat the food with the amount of respect. And as Culinary is it culinarians? Could I say culinarians? Yeah. Culinarians, you have to treat the food as sacred and have respect for the people who actually made the food for you and try to utilize the food to the best of your ability. So food sovereignty recognizes the food is a gift of life and not to be squandered, and it asserts that food cannot be commodified. All right, so let's just take a little look at the state of agriculture and fisheries in the Bahamas. This is a little snapshot here. We have about 5 million plus tourists that visit the Bahamas annually, and a lot of this cruise ship tourists, which creates a high demand for a lot of food. I always tell people technically have like 400,000 people to feed, right? Which is not a whole lot. But when you add 4 or 5 million people, that's a different story altogether. And that's kind of like you have in your house, you have 4 people in your house, and you know you could take care of those 4 people, but then you have guests. You have 1,000 guests coming to your house. It just becomes very overwhelming. So when people talk about food security and can we feed ourselves, I personally think we could feed ourselves. We could feed 4,000 people. But when it comes to 5 million people, that's a different story, right? So we have to use a little bit more strategy there. But within having all that tourists come to the country, there's lots of opportunities in terms of creating linkages with our food. There's opportunity for agricultural products as well as job creation. I consider myself to be an agripreneur. I'm an agripreneur. Anything dealing with agriculture and entrepreneurship, I'm into. And just by, for example, the last I actually had a meat fabrication workshop a couple of years back. We had a sheep, goat, and a pig, and I had Texas Tech University come to the abattoir, and we kind of did a workshop there, and they actually had us making jerky, and so they said to us, why don't you all try to create, let's say, a goat jerky or something? Americans like snacks, and then cruise ship people don't like to spend money, but they like snacks. So if you create a snack, goat jerky with goat pepper or something like that, that's $3 to $5. They wouldn't mind spending money on that. And that's like, what, 10,000 people a week. So if you catch just a percentage of that, you're still making some good money, right? So you have to tailor to the market that, the markets that you have, and look at different ways that we could take advantage of this great opportunity we have in terms of agritourism. Also, now that you know that the state of agriculture is that we import 90% of the food products that we have. Does anybody feel safe about that? I think we had 97%, actually. I was just being generous with the 90%, but more than 90%, but 97%. I don't feel good about that at all. So that means, things get a little red with the war and everything. Everybody looking for themselves in the other countries, and we can't import nothing, right? I remember 9/11, I think I was working as a dolphin trainer, and the tourists didn't come. And we was just sitting there playing with the dolphins all day. We had nothing to do. And then even, I think the boats wasn't even coming in like that. So that was a scary situation for me. And that just made me realize, okay, we really need to ramp it up. And that was, 2001 or something? 2000. But that just gave me an idea of what's going to happen if it comes to a point where the countries have to choose between them and us. They're always going to choose them. So we need to be smart. Just talking about insufficient supply of food in the hotel sector. Tourist sector currently demands, and this is actually a report from the IDB did in 2017. This is some of the deficiencies that they saw or issues that they saw when they did their research for the hotel sector and why the needs of the hotel sector and the ways that agriculture could actually connect with the hotel sector. So they said the tourist sector's current demand for agricultural and fisheries food products is almost entirely satisfied by imported goods. I can believe that for sure. Hotel managers say that they are unable to find the necessary products for their restaurants on the local market. They need quality products in sufficient quantities and at a competitive prices, which represents a real opportunity for local producers. Anybody ever say that to any of our chefs? Anybody find that that's a problem, not be able to get local product? at good prices. Yeah. They also said for farmers who get involved, the existence of a guaranteed market gives impetus to increasing production and improving quality in response to the demand. And they also said to increase their chances of success, all participants in the chain need to be trained and informed, and the quantity and quality of farm produce must change. All right? That's a whole mouthful. But basically, what we're saying is we have a lot of work to do. So in terms of the training, I've heard a lot of hotel producers, or even BFS, their concern is the food safety aspect of things from the farmers, making sure that the food is safe to be able to distribute to the hotels. I've talked to some purchasing managers of the hotels, and they said they have no issue. The issues they really have is consistency of supply and people, farmers and producers being good business people and being accountable. You can't just bring your fish one week and then you ghost them the next week. These people order their things 6 months in advance. And part of it is the farmers' faults as well, which is why we're trying to form a cooperative. I mean, cooperatives for small islands is the way to go because we can't all do it by ourselves. This individualistic approach to things, we have to get out of that and try to learn to work together as a group. So, for example, the cooperative we're trying to form now, which is the processing cooperative, we thought, let's just do something simple like ketchup. Everybody eats ketchup. We could grow Roma tomatoes, and we could make a really good ketchup to sell to all the hotels and probably the whole country, right? So that's one of our first products that we're going to look at. I would say, and when I'm doing research in terms of if I doing a business plan or something and looking for areas for people to go in, I look at the customs list. I get the customs list. The last one I had was 2020, and I look at all the items, all the commodities that we import. And the ones that kind of stand out or have a higher figure, I say, let me look more into that. Maybe that would be a good industry. So you can't just go into industries, just pick something out your head. You have to do your research when you be an entrepreneur and you go into things. You have to do your research and see if there's a market for it. The fact that we import so much of it, there's a market. You just need to find out where the market is. So in terms of insufficient supply of the hotels, they're absolutely right. The hotels is a fast-paced environment, and as farmers and producers, we have to keep up. We have to definitely keep up with that. That's one of the things I do for my company as well is procurement. So I find things for people, particularly chefs, usually private chefs, like Chef Hall. I think I found like donkey for him and all one time. He made some donkey salty sausage, which was really good, actually. And then, yeah. No, it's not hush hush. Flamingo is hush hush. But the donkey is not protected, so that was okay. All right, we go to the next one. People that go. All right, this is just the food production. Give you the idea of, kind of laid this out for you to give you a visual. Keep going. All right. At least 4 more times. All right, I think that's it. Go back. All right. So just to give you an idea of the food production system here in the Bahamas, if you ever, thought of what it looks like, and you can see it's pretty complicated, right? Being an archipelago isn't easy. We have so many things against us in terms of getting food to our people. At the top, you see there's fisheries production, and then we have primary production, and that's the crops as well as livestock, and then we have the imports. So from there, you can see for the fisheries products go straight to the processing and manufacturing plants. With the primary productions, with the crops and animals, it goes to you harvest, transport, and sometimes straight to consumer. With the animals, it has to go through the abattoir, which is a slaughterhouse, because it has to be a post-mortem and ante-mortem has to be done from the veterinarian to make sure the meat is safe and not, contaminated or have any zoonotic diseases that could be passed on to humans. Then we have, processing and manufacturers. That's the jams and jellies and pepper sauce people. storage facilities, commercialization, retail sales, food service, tourism. As you can see, most of the imports, a lot of the imports come through here, distribution, and then finally down to the consumers. So it's a lot. And in between all of those arrows, there's an opportunity for entrepreneurship. There's opportunity for jobs. You just got to find where the gaps are. In anything with starting a business, you need to solve a problem. So any of those areas you think, if you don't necessarily have to be a farmer. You could be an agricultural marketer. When I came home from school, I didn't have a job. I thought, I got sold this dream that when I come home, yeah, we need agriculture in the country. Got my degree in animal and poultry science. Came home, couldn't find a job at all. I said, what I could do? I actually started working at the zoo for a little bit. I was a zookeeper for 3 years when I came home. And then I left that place. And then that's when I started my first business, which was Go Light Mobile Market. So what I basically did is I bought produce from all the different islands in the Bahamas. I made these produce boxes, and I delivered them to people's houses. It was pretty lucrative, actually. I worked 3 days out of the week, and I made like $1,500 that week. So, but it was tiring in terms of driving up and down. Sometimes I used to be on the road from 9 o'clock in the morning to 9 at night until one of my customers, who actually was Keva Bethel, she said, why don't you just have pickup points? We don't mind coming to pick up our box. So I had 5 pickup points throughout the islands, out east, south, out west. I think it's central by Starbucks. It used to be Starbucks in Palmdale. And I started 9 o'clock, and by 1 o'clock I was done. So you just had to work smart with that. But there's opportunities all along this chain, and if you get a chance to look at the presentation, I want you to sit down and think what job or what problem I could solve all along this food chain. That's my water. I know. Thank you. All right, I kind of zip through this. I just wanted to introduce you to what agri-ecotourism is. I think we talked about this before. It's just that linkage between agriculture and tourism. And honestly, I don't think there's any way you could separate it. Go ahead. These are some of the objectives of agri-ecotourism. Sustainability, increase of local products, protect the environment, and diversity of the tourism product. This is just some of the strategies for us to reduce the food import. And, crop scheduling is very, very important. I know BAIC is working on that with the farmers in terms of the farmers creating a schedule for what they're producing, not just producing what they feel like when the wind blows. At least people need to know what you're producing, so when you harvest, they know what to expect and the market knows to expect. And I guess you can see all of this when you get the presentation. Go ahead. So I wanted to go over 8 ways we can make a difference. These are the 8 ways: through climate change initiatives, eating fresh and healthy, identify the potential of local cultivation, reducing carbon footprint, promoting local suppliers and farmers, cook local, think global, preserve the harvest, and reduce the wastage. So I'm going to go to the last 3. There's some pictures here of the island school, the aquaponics setup there. Go through. Go through again. All of these are local farmers, by the way, that I have in these pictures. Go ahead. This is a pineapple farm in Ilustra. That's Lady Di's farm. Okay, I'll stop right here. In terms of, I just want to stop here because I think this is important. I think people, when they're cooking, they probably think that they have to be totally true to all of the ingredients. And I like this concept of cook local, think global. The example there is with the paella. Instead of, use Bahamian seafood instead of imported seafood to give it a more local feel. When people travel, they don't want to eat exactly, at least I don't want to eat exactly what I eat at home. It really doesn't make no sense. If I travel in, I want to try something slightly different. When I went to Jamaica, I had callaloo in the Marriott. I had sweet potato, mashed potato, and that's what they had. That's what I had to do. Go ahead. Go through. Preserve the harvest. Go through. Reduce wastage. And then I talked about sustainable fisheries. I think that's it. All right, so just to let you know, our food is our future, and it depends on you as, you know, the young people of our country, our leaders, to demand that you have more local product and that you work more closely with our farmers and those who produce our food. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lightborn, for that wonderful contribution on sustainability. And when we talk about sustainability, we're looking at providing quality food for future generations. Just now we're going into session 2, and we're going to look at quail and poultry fabrication, presented to us by Adelaide Quail Company, along with Chef Gerald Roll and Chef Clement Williams. Let's give them a round of applause.
Good morning, everybody. How are we doing this morning? We up, we up? All right. I am here on behalf of Adelaide Quail Company and also on behalf of a local quail keepers group, 242, Culinary Quail Keepers. You can find us on Facebook. Basically, we are a group of small farmers that came together to introduce quail to the local Bahamas people. This morning, we have a few of our different breeds that we have here locally in the Bahamas. We have our Texas A&M, but now they're called the English Whites, Rosettas, the Coturnix quail, the original ones, Japanese quail, and we have the pearl or the sand quail. All right, so I'm going to just give a brief. I'm sorry. All right. I'm going to open it. All right. This little guy is our English white. And we have our Rosetta. You see by the coloration, it has a little white patch there with brown and a little maroon in it. All right. And this is the original Coturnix quail. These are also called Japanese quail. And this is our little pearl. And our sand. Okay? All right. Today we prepared a little presentation just to give you basic information on quails in general. PowerPoint. That's a good question. Yes, we do. We do have a local population, but that's a different breed. We have the northern bob white, It's located in Andros and in Abaco. We do have a hunting season here. Yeah, but I'll elaborate on it a little further. All right, let's get started. Okay, 242, Coternyx Quail Keepers. Okay, first thing we're gonna do is a brief introduction. What are Coternyx quail and the different breeds of quails? Okay. Basically, quails are ground birds, family to the pheasant. They're basically used as game birds. They're usually hunted. Like I mentioned earlier, sorry, I'm going a little fast. Introduction. Anyway. Right, okay. Quails are ground-dwelling birds, family to the pheasant, and are considered game bird, usually hunted for sports. They are hardy. They thrive in small cages, and they're inexpensive to keep. When I say they can be kept in cages, these birds are adapted where you can be living in an apartment building and have them and no one would know, as long as you don't have a rooster. Because if you're one of them, everybody will know that you have them. All right. There are many different quails found around the world, and like you alluded to earlier, we do have the northern bobwhites that are located in Andros and Abaco. Okay, what are Coternyx quails? Well, types and breeds. These quails are basically, it's like a Cornish hen, but more delicate, more flavor, and easier to grow. Quails can be sexed easily as soon as their breast feathers have come in. The feathers on the male's chest are usually rusted brown. Females have a buff coloration with black sparkle, clearly evident. Males have a darker coloration around the eyes as well. The popular Coternyx quail can lay eggs, just like chicken, once daily. There are a few types. We have the, next slide. We have the bob white. We have the California, the Coternyx, Japanese quail, and the English white, once known as the Texas A&Ms. Okay. What does it require to raise a keep quail? Small amount of cost, time, and effort equals success. Fact sheet. Like all animals, quails require a few things to survive and produce. Quails can live in a very small space as long as it is safe. They need fresh feed and water daily. They need a secure place to lay their eggs, and they require 12 hours of light for egg production. They can be raised either on the ground or in cages. Feed and what is expected with growth. Okay, feed. From day one of hatching, quails require a chicken starter crumble, medicated or non-medicated, high protein, 20% or more, for the first 3 weeks of their lives. At 3 weeks and fully feathered, they are switched to a lower poultry feed, example, chicken layer, as commonly found locally, or game bird feed until they are fully matured at 8 weeks. So from the time of day 1 to 8 weeks, they're fully matured. Between 6 and 8 weeks, they're given calcium. Sorry, calcium is given to help with. Sorry. Yeah, calcium is given to help with the eggshell once a week. Growth and food. Quails are fully grown in only 6 weeks and begin laying eggs between 6 and 8 weeks. At 6 and 8 weeks, you can decide which quails you are going to keep for egg and reproduction or both. You can see by our chart here, this is the stages that they go through from week 1 all the way to week 8. Okay, the benefits of raising quails. Okay, here are a few reasons that you should be raising quails. Space requirement. Quails are considerably smaller than chicken, ducks, geese, or turkey. They can be raised basically in your backyard, balcony, or apartment building. Eggs, you can get eggs from them. The hens lay eggs daily, just like chickens. Though they are smaller, they're more flavorful. Processing. You can process these birds in your kitchen, and no one will even know. Feed costs. Our local feed mill provides a 50-pound bag of feed. That's about $6. That can last you for about 20 quails, 2 months. 1 bag of feed. They won't disturb the neighbors as long as you don't have a rooster. They're very quiet. No one would barely know that they're there. They mature fast. They are hardy. They are more resistant than you would say your local chicken in terms of diseases. Raising quail can assist with family becoming self-reliant, sustainable, along with the byproducts that can be used for fertilizer to your backyard garden or farm. You become more empowered by raising your own food in your backyard and cut food costs at the food stores. And finally, they taste great. As you will all witness today. One second. All right.
And just a heads up to everyone that's online watching, as well as those of you that are in the room. Please ask your questions as we're going. It's meant to be an interactive experience. We don't necessarily want to wait till the end. We can have quick questions answered and asked as we are moving through. Okay? I know that there are persons with questions online, and there are persons in the room that have quick questions. So while our little friends over here are making their way to the plate, ask your questions now. Okay, want to pass the mic? Let us know what school.
Okay, I just did. All right, this question is from Joyanne Penniman. And she asks, can you kindly repeat, are the quails local or are they imported? They didn't hear that answer.
Okay. Our local quail would be the bob white quail, which is located in Andros and Abaco. These quails are imported quails. They're basically used for meat because we consider the Coturnix quail the jumbo of the quail family. And so these are basically imported, but they are grown locally here now.
Okay, and Ms. Penniman is also asking, does your company sell quails?
Yes, we do. We do sell quail. If you can reach out to us on Facebook, there is a contact number also located on the presentation, and I will leave the contact information with Chef.
Okay, she's asking the cost as well.
Basically, processed quails are sold at 5 for $25. That's a process. Now, if you're looking for breeders and young chicks, we do a straight run of, when I said a straight run, that's male or female at day 1 for $250 a chick. We also have breeders that are
Take the quail the way it is, and you can just do a stuffing. You can do a nice bread stuffing, you can do a nice vegetable stuffing, and then you can just sew it back together. You can just fold it back tie it with the rope, or if you're not familiar with that, as you roll it, you can just roll it in the foil paper, greaseproof paper, the foil paper, put it straight in the oven. And then once you take it out, then if it's not brown the way you want, then you can just put it on the stove. Same way you would do your Christmas turkey. You know, when you debone it and you do your rollade of turkey, you can do the quail the same way. So there's really a lot of different ways that you can do the quail, and I don't think you'll have any issue.
All right, somebody is asking, is this the same bird mentioned in the Bible that the children of Israel ate in the wilderness?
Okay, it was quail then. I'm sure it's quail now. I'm sure it's the same quail that was then, because it's the same little small bird. Because you don't hear nothing much about chickens mentioned in the Bible. So I'm sure this is the same quail. And normally you see them in a lot of movies too, where they have them on a little stick and they're grilling them, and they're really small. So I'm sure it's the same quail. It might not have all of the seasoning and spices that we have in our modern days, but it's the same thing.
I noticed you were seasoning the quail. What did you put on it? What's in the seasoning?
Okay, in the spice, we have seasoning oil, we have garlic, we have thyme, we have black pepper, we have oregano, and in the bag that they gave us the complete seasoning. We used to just stash it, the complete seasoning. And then we had the fresh herbs. We just grind it up and we throw it on that. So some of these we're going to do with the seasoning, and some with just the fresh herb. And of course, the homemade barbecue sauce right from the kitchen. So it's not the bottle made, it's freshly made.
Next time, we as processors, I'm a processor by trade, and next time we hope that you would use our locally processed barbecue sauce as well as our seasonings that we have. We have fabulous seasonings. We have Bahamian blend, we have chicken in the bag seasoning from our local processors, and so hopefully next time we have this event, we will be able to have you would be able to use our seasoning.
And I would love that. But this particular one is not barbecue sauce out of the bottle. We took the vinegar, we took the brown sugar, we took that. So it's a homemade one. We made it right in the kitchen, so it's not the barbecue. But I love the one that you're recommending, and I'm hoping.
We do. I understood that you make it locally. I mean, make it for this presentation. But I'm saying that we have local producers who actually makes. They do that for a living.
Okay.
And so, And you're asking for my number? It's 376-6209, and I'm the senior processing person at BAIC.
And I'm glad you said that, because as chefs, we believe in from the backyard to the kitchen. So what we're looking for, and we encourage, I'm sure, wish we can get more of it done, from the backyard to the kitchen, as well as from your garden to the kitchen or to the stores, from the farmers to the store. Because we have a lot of resources here. It's just finding out the technology, finding the ways, and being educated on how to possess these things. Because I heard the lady spoke earlier, 93% of our stuff is imported. I think we can do better than that. I think we can do better than that. We can't take it to zero right now, but I'm sure we could get that to about 70% and down to 50%. But of course, it's education, because we have to know the right soil, the right temperature, when it's the right timing, and all of that process. So, and I'm sure that.
Well, Chef, you won't have to wait too much longer as far as seasoning, is because what we did is we introduced a lot of these seasonings to the University of the Bahamas. We're just waiting on them to do a presentation and disperse it throughout the campus for chefs to be able to use. Because one of the things that I found that is, when you are a chef, you get the McCormick, you get all the different U.S. seasonings and foreign seasonings. And so what we want to do is, if we introduce it here to you now as young chefs, when you go abroad and become famous, you will take a part of us with you. And so that's what we want to introduce to the local chefs.
All right, we want to thank you, Ms. Burrows.
And we also thank the Bahamas Agricultural and Industrial Corporation for pledging to make sure that these seasonings make it into the high school food and nutrition laboratories and hospitality and tourism studies laboratories so that our young chefs across the country can be trained in using local Bahamian seasoning blends and mixes. All right?
Hello, my name is Lynelle Thompson. I'm the education chairperson for the Bahamas National Breastfeeding Association. And so I just wanted to add a little something in here. I don't know at what point would be available, so I'm taking this moment to remind everybody that the first basic nutrition you need is the one that God sent. You know, God sent the quails, and when they asked for something else to have, God sent the quails. But God put the breast milk in the woman's breast so that every one of us can have the first sustainable and best food for the sustainability of our life.
Very, very good, Ms. Thompson, for reminding us. And indeed, it is the first 5 days of a baby's life. It is most important to get that breast milk within the first 5 days for development and for improved immune system. Right now, we're going to move into another aspect of this demonstration where we're going to have a live, slaughtering of a quail. A live slaughtering of a quail. And so while Chef Clement and Chef Roll are cooking up this quail, and then those of you who are out there watching this by way of social media, the smell in here is, oh, wow. I mean, you can smell the oils and the spices, and they're going. It's sending up in the room. Yes, it is wonderful. And so just now, we're going to have a live demonstration of the slaughtering of this quail. All right.
We have a question.
Anybody who wants to volunteer, who is in the audience, who wants to assist?
Mr. Butler, we have a question over here.
Oh, good morning. Good morning. My question is for the chef who introduced about the quails. He said some things about chickens. He what's the word? He compared them to chickens and that flavor and things. So I just wanna. Yeah, so I wanted to ask about the eggs. Do the eggs of the quails have more nutritional value than the eggs of roosters? And what are your methods to prepare quail's egg compared to chicken and rooster eggs? That's my question.
Can we get a response to that?
Yes.
All right. That's a very good question. In comparison to the chicken eggs, a lot of people like the quail eggs because if you are allergic to chicken eggs, that's a great alternative for you. And people with diabetes, cancer tend to use them because they have less cholesterol than the chicken eggs, less fat. So in comparison, that is why for health benefits, they would consider them a lot better than the chicken eggs. Is that your question? Answer your question? Also, there are a few applications that you can do with the quail eggs. Like Christmas time is coming now. This would be a good time to gather a bunch of them and do a pickle. Most families aren't used to pickles, but people in the culinary industry are quite familiar with it. They make good gifts, say for elderly or senior people. It's a nice, healthy snack.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions in the audience while we are about to do this live demo? Yes, we do have one here from Queens College.
Compared to the chicken, right? How much harder is it to defeather a quail compared to chicken?
Okay.
Also, cleaning them as well.
Okay. Just last week, I made a trip to Abaco to process 46 chickens. It took me and a team of 4 about 3.5 hours. It's from basically slaughtering, plucking, gutting, and packaging for storage. With the quail, you can do a quail in less than 5 minutes. It depends on which method you use. It can be down to 2. So I would gladly process 100 quails than 40 chickens because the smell different between the two is great. With chickens, if you don't do the 24-hour cutoff feed before you process, they have a lot of feed there in their crop and in the gut, so they produce a lot of biowaste in processing. So, yeah.
All right. Now to our live demonstration. Do we have another question?
I have a question about the egg texture, because chicken egg could be smooth and duck could be like a little thickish. So what's the difference in the texture with quail?
Well, let's put it like this. Quail eggs are the luxury of the egg world. It has a smoother, silkier texture than both the chicken and the duck. You know, the duck has that big, heavy yolk and that thick, but it's more like a smooth blend.
Any other questions from the internet? Ms. Rowe? By the way, the Family Island contestants last night at the hotel, we had Cornish hen for dinner. And it's interesting that today we'll be able to sample some grilled quail.
Okay, today we're going to demonstrate 2 different methods. If I had to process more than 100 quails, I would have used the quail plucker on the end of the table there. That can process between 5 to 10 quails at a time within a few seconds. Now, I'm going to run through exactly what we're going to do. Basically, you would have a pot of scalding water on station. The temperature of the water should be 160, no more than 165. You're going to dip the bird after dispatch for a few seconds to loosen the feathers, and then you can hand pluck or use the plucker to defeather the bird. Second. Yes, basically that's the whole setup of it, with rubber fingers inside that gently massages the bird and removes the feathers. And after that, after we dip them and scald them, we're gonna put them in a bath of cold water just to lower the temperature a little bit, and then we're gonna eviscerate them and do a spatchcock cut.
What would happen if the temperature is more than 160 or 165?
That's a good question. Then you would start cooking the quail. You get the skin would start to peel off. You only dip it for a few seconds, less than 30 seconds. As long as you have the right temperature, it's a quick in and out.
Well, let's make sure we get a close-up of this.
Well, if you do it right, it works. If you do it wrong, it's called a learning session. So we're going to get started here.
Oh. Is there another question within the audience? Any other questions? You want to entertain any more before we start? Okay. So, get started.
We have a brave young chef.
All right, we have
that
Helen.
Central
Helen
Eleuthera?
is out now. All right. And what type of pen?
This is the original Culinary quail, the Japanese quail. It's going to be our first process. Ready for this?
All right. All right. We're now looking at Helen 1. She's all the way from Japan.
Yeah.
Helen 1.
No, we got to
Goodbye, Helen.
dispatch it first. Now, there are two different methods that we can use to dispatch. Oh, sorry. There are two different methods we're going to use for dispatch. We can use the scissors, or we can use the almighty hand. You ready for this? First method I'm going to use, I'm going to dispatch. Okay. Yes. Body's gonna do a little jerk. We're gonna have a little. Yeah. Okay, we're draining.
Yes, people, this is where our food comes from.
I'm gonna drain it until it takes a few seconds before.
I was asking how long does it take for you to drain the blood, or how long do you need to drain it for?
2 seconds, because of the size of the bird. This is usually quick. All right.
When we say farm to table, we really mean it.
A lot of people don't realize where their food actually comes from. People believe that you must walk in the food store and it automatically appears on the shelf. No, someone has to do this. This bird had a good life. It was fed well. It was kept well. Now, exactly, it now becomes energy to fuel your body. You know exactly what was put into this bird. You know that it was grown organically. And compared to store-bought meat, you can't beat this. Okay, as you can see now, our friend has passed. Okay. All right, so now we're going to do a quick dip. Now, usually if I had, like I said, over 100 birds, I would add a little bit of Dawn to it, just to make sure, take off any dirt or anything like that, because, Dawn is environment safe. But these are grown in cages and never touch the floor. So no parasites, anything like that. That's why I never use medicine. The only thing that we use is a local mixture of garlic, honey, vinegar, apple cider vinegar. It helps with the immune system and to digestive system. So that's basically it. So now, just take your 2 fingers. Ready? That block off. The bird is good to cook.
And again, we are not cooking the bird. We're just doing it long enough to soften the paw so the feathers can come straight off the bird.
Exactly. Right. It's like, it's a jacuzzi bath.
Now she's been massaged.
Right. Deep tissue. Yeah. Got a best life. This is a spa session right now. Look at this. See that? Yeah. Everything on this bird can be reused. These feathers, good for your compost. Stock pillows, the byproduct, good for
Is
life.
this the type of feathers that you could use for pillows or no?
Well, Lord, people say use what you got.
And jackets.
Yeah. So, let's take that off. Use my hand.
And we see how fast this process can take. I'm going by hand just by dipping in a few times in hot water. It's relatively fast. You can do this at home. And those of you who have backyard farm, you have your chickens or your birds in the backyard, this is a simple process that you can do as well. And you know when you're growing food organically, what you are putting into the food. The store-bought food that are filled with chemicals and hormones may not be so good for you, but at least here you know exactly what each bird has, and they provide the natural nutrients for all of those who consume them.
Exactly. And I'm sure that you won't find this on your shelf for 6 months, like the store-bought birds. This you can keep in the back of your yard in 8 weeks' time. You have a meal. And this can be an ongoing process that can provide food for your family. Exactly. Look at that. An egg. One every day. Sure, Chef.
What can we use those eggs for, the quail eggs?
Go ahead, Jeff.
Okay, with the quail eggs, you can use the quail egg. As you can see right now, we crack a few. We're going to do eggs up, just to show you how we do it with the regular eggs. Then we're going to do some scrambled eggs. Also, if you are a caterer like myself, then what we can do, we use these quail eggs as a garnish. You can do a nice fettuccine alfredo. You could do spaghetti carbonara. And you can just crack the quail eggs, and you can put it right on top, or you can just take the yolk. Or you can just take the yolk, and you can just mix it inside of that, and that gives us a really healthy, beautiful body, especially if you're doing a spaghetti carbonara. And then you could use it for canapes, or you could use it, you're doing a nice dish, chicken dish, or a beef dish. You can crack the quail egg, you can poach it, you can do it on top. You can do basically similar to the same thing what you do with the regular eggs, but because these are much smaller, more fancier, you can get away with these on a lot of dishes that you would be presenting in your restaurant or even just by entertaining yourselves. So you can see that's why they're really small. They have a nice, pretty shape. And even the shell itself is really beautiful. So it's, a little different from the regular eggs. Yes. Thank you.
Also, Chef Clem, growing up on the island, we used to shoot pigeons and dove, and the meat used to be dark. Does the quail meat have that same texture and dark meat as the pigeon?
Well, I grew up eating pigeons, and I'm sure a lot of us has, because in those days, sometimes that was your meal. But yes, the meat is dark. It's dark because that's the way it is. It's a nature bird. It's a nature animal. And even though you might cage it, it's still going to have that same dark color. But the texture and the flavor, it's really awesome. And I always crack jokes with a lot of folks that, people talking about organic as if it's something just came in today. We've had organic from we were kids. All of the chickens that run around the yard, the birds and stuff, they are organic because they don't have chemicals or pesticide inside them. And that's the only difference with organic, except today now they have them in a cage. They have them in the cage. They do everything in the cage. But realistically, we've been eating organic from day one. But now it's a price that, because it's now controlled and it's caged, it makes a whole lot of difference. But it's the same thing. Yeah.
Well, let's do a quick poll. How many people in here have had pigeon before? Pigeon, yeah. All right. Y'all beat me.
Oh, yes. All right. And we have a wonderful volunteer. Could you give your name and what school you're from?
My name is Jeremy Kamali, and I am from Ellen Coakley, Exuma. I am a junior at Ellen Coakley.
All right. She's from Ellen Coakley, all the way from Exuma. Welcome to this young chef competition. And indeed, it's glad to have you here. And as you can see here, the bird is cleaning up well. All right. Look at it. Wonderful. Feathers are just about gone. And now it's almost ready for processing to put on the plate.
Is it starting to look like the one in the food store yet? All right.
So here we have Helen. Helen 1. And back here to the hot kitchen, we have the chefs, and they are indeed cooking up some quail eggs sunny side up. Wow. Well seasoned. Inside here, you can smell the rosemary, the thyme, the garlic. As we see, yes, the kitchen is just on fire. Chef Clem, what are you doing with those quail eggs?
Okay, I'm sure a lot of the students might not be familiar with the quail egg. So what we're going to do, I'm doing some sunny up, and then I'm going to do scramble. So if you really like egg, that's why we bought enough tastings that you can just taste it to see if it tastes the same way with the eggs that you're familiar with. Plus the Chef Michael Adley, he's going to demonstrate a dish where he's going to plate up a dish with the quail eggs, with the quail, vegetable, and he's going to garnish it with the eggs on top so you can see get it in various different ways. But we're just doing some eggs so they can sample them.
All right, Chef Adley, what do we have here in the pan?
We have some cork split quail. So you just cut the back open, just nicely season with whatever seasoning that you have. And we're only going to brown it inside the pan. Then we're going to finish it in the oven. With items like quail, you never finish it on the stove. You put it in the oven and let it finish.
Why is that?
Because it keeps the meat moist. If I was to cook it in the pan straight through, it'll dry out. And because it's a gamey kind of protein, it will dry out more quickly.
And on average, how much would a meal like this cost in a restaurant?
Roughly about $55, $60.
Wow, $55 to $60 a plate just to get one quail. You hear that? $55 to $60 for one plate of quail. Very expensive. That will give us food for thought on how we can raise our own quails in our backyard.
It's become a business. Imagine. Come on.
We're in the back.
Yeah, no. Yeah, let me do it. And let my apprentice take over from here.
All right, so we're going to have now our volunteer. All the way from Exuma.
So it don't fly.
Wonderful, wonderful demonstration. How does it feel?
I don't know, to be honest. It's a new feeling. I've cut open pigeon before, and it's not really as similar, but it's kind of rough getting it off. It's you could feel everything. You can feel it shaking. It's different.
And you said you're used to doing pigeons before. All right, and is this the same feeling as doing a pigeon?
Similar, yes, sir. It is.
So you're used to doing this kind of thing?
Yes, sir.
All right. So we can see she's now allowing for the blood to drain. A few seconds. The head has already been decapitated. And so now her next step is she's going to now dunk it into the hot water to loosen up the feathers. And this Mr. Well, it's English white? English white. And again, the water is not that hot that we are cooking the bird, but just loosening up the feathers so we can quickly pluck them from the bird. And how does it feel when you're removing the feathers?
It just feels like I'm taking something out of a pillow. Taking feathers out of a pillow.
She said it feels just like the feathers you would have in the pillow at home. Those of you who have those feathered pillows, same texture. And even those who have those feathered jackets that you would use for winter. And now we go into a live plating session with Chef Clement.
If anyone in the audience want to come and try the quail egg, you're welcome to it.
We have a question. Oh, come on down. The price is right.
And in the meantime, what we'll do is going to cut up some of the quail for sample.
Use your napkin. Use your napkin.
So you can take one of these. That one would finish.
Oh, sorry.
Probably tired enough. I'll see.
Okay, what we're going to do also now, we're going to cut up some of the quails so you can sample the quails also.
So now the quail is being cut into 4 pieces, into quarters, 2 breast and 2 leg quarters. And Chef.
This is just the seasoned one that we put on the grill, and we do, and the other one is the one with the barbecue, homemade barbecue sauce. So we're going to just present it out there, and you're free to sample it, taste it how you wish.
Wow.
Mr. Butler?
All right.
Janet Miller. Sorry.
Yeah.
Janet Miller is asking how many pieces was for $55 to $60. How many pieces?
Chef
of the
Adley,
quail?
they're asking a question, how many pieces are being served on the plate for $55 to $60?
One whole quail.
One whole quail.
Thank
One
you.
whole quail. Would you usually cut this up this small for a plate, or would you leave it butterflied, like how you had it?
You can leave it butterfly, and then you can debone it, take out all of the bones. You can take out all of the bones that is inside it. These bones, as well as you can serve it whole for, like I said, an appetizer, or as an accompaniment to another meat, like a safe and tape, a quail and a shrimp, a quail and a fish, something of that sort.
Wonderful. And you can come on down, those of you who are in studio, and try the quail. It is delicious. Yes, well seasoned. All right, we're back now to our student from Exuma. And indeed, she is surely cleaning up this quail. It's wonderful.
Yeah, this is the pound said one with the homemade marinade. Okay, put it in, and then pour that sauce on everything we do.
So now we have pan said quail with homemade marinade. I tell you, and the scent inside the studio here is just tremendous. It is wonderful. I wish all of you should have been here today just to smell and to taste the experience of this culinary delight. And notice how it resembles a Cornish hen, but just a little bit smaller. There you go. That's about $200 worth of food right there in that one plate. Samples? All right.
This is the one that he's going to plate up and.
Okay. All right. So, Chef Ali, quickly tell us what you're doing now with these quail.
I'm putting the quail back in the sauce so I can get that flavor back into the sauce.
So there you go. The quail is going to finish off in the oven as it just wallows and just take up all of the sauce. And so we're back now with Chef Clem. Oh, watch it. Watch it. Nice flavor. Put this right in there. Yeah, yours right, yes, Asha. Okay. Do I have someone from the audience to really describe the flavor?
Not you.
Yes.
But the flavor.
The flavor.
We have someone from Abaco's. Yes. Give your name and the school you're from, and then describe the flavor.
Okay. My name is Alicia Bojka. I'm from SC Boodle High School. So I would describe the flavor as really like succulent. It's very like, I don't know, it's like it has this earth flavor. Like it tastes organic. Like it don't taste sour, but it tastes like something you made yourself. Yeah, it tastes like gamey. And the seasoning is really good. Like the way it's cooked and fried, like you could taste the grill, and you could like taste like that smoky flavor on the meat.
All right, wonderful, Abaco. Wonderful. Can anybody describe, does it have a taste similar to chicken or anything else? Someone from the audience?
What was that, Doris Johnson? It tastes better than chicken.
Tastes better than chicken. Doris Johnson said it tastes better than chicken. Okay. Yes, it would at $55 a plate.
Now you understand why it's $55 a plate. But think about it. In 8 weeks, you can have this $55 plate in your backyard, scot-free. All it takes is a little bit of time and effort, and you can have them on your plate, from your backyard to your plate. You don't need any heavy equipment, anything like that. Just a pot of hot water and some time. All right? We're gonna process. We're gonna do another process.
All right. So now we're going into another process of slaughtering the quail. And so let us pay close attention to this next process.
Oh, no, that's why I use the word processing.
I say harvesting is a nicer word than slaughtering. We're harvesting.
We're going to now harvest.
Yes, we're harvesting.
I'm Travis at this time. All right.
Oh, Lordy. What's his name?
Travis.
Travis.
Yes.
Oh, well.
All right, for this method, we're just going to use pair of shears. It's going to be quick. So, Travis here is going on a long vacation. Oh, this is Caternix, Japanese.
Say goodbye to Helen and Travis, people.
Hi, Travis. We miss you.
All right. Travis is gone.
You have a question from the audience?
Yes, I just have a question. What was the name of the scissors you used again to
These are just
process it?
A pair of shears.
Just a pair of
regular
shears.
yeah.
Okay. No, I just had asked what was the name of the shears he used to process the quail. It's shears. He said it's just regular shears.
Just a regular pair of shears.
And you can find those in any of the garden section of any of the major grocery stores or departmental stores.
Okay. So, for this method, we're just going to pull the skin apart. This is where we're going to lose the skin. This is a much faster method than using. Huh? Yeah, just at the breast, just pull. Actually, you don't have to, because of how tender the skin is. Once you pinch and pull. Now, usually in this method, we just discard the wings.
So now the bird is getting a French cut. We're clipping off the ends of the wings and we're just using the drummer.
All right. Snip, snip. Joints.
All right, we're fabricating it now by just keeping the drumstick attached to the main part of the bird.
Okay, we have another question here.
You see how we would usually keep the foot of the chicken to like do chicken foot sauce? Would you do that like with the quail?
Too small. There's no meat there. Even process for that.
Yeah, so it's a little too small for that.
But you can also keep that, the feet to make stocks. To make stock, if you're using it for other food processing, you can also use it for stock as well. Again, we don't want to waste any part of any of the animals that we use in food processing. We have a question in front. Right this side.
So I think it's about good afternoon now. My name is Miss Demerit from the Mangrove Key High School. I wanted to know, is there a lab you do this in, or is it open on the outside?
Usually we set up outside on either tent. We use stainless table, say coolers.
Sanitation? Could you
Yeah.
explain that part for me?
Okay, basically, we would set up in a clear area, use a tent with barkings and all that. The stainless table, everything is sterilized before the process. Then the birds are kept, say, about 12 hours without feed. They're brought in, someone brings them in. You would then, one person would then let them bleed out. Our next person would then move on to scalding, and then we'll defeather, and then we'll, yeah. But during that process, it's usually gloves, hair nets, aprons, and at the end of every stage, the area is washed down, and we make sure that the meat is kept at a certain temperature throughout the whole process. Well, see, that's a good thing. The blood can be used in your garden. So, blood, guts, compost. Especially, I would use the blood around my plants. Just dig a little hole and put them in. Yeah. Usually, every part of the quail I use in some way. So, nothing goes to waste at all. And the byproducts from the quail, even the waste from the quail, is very good for your plants and vegetables. I have different herbs growing in my yard now. I don't use fertilizer. I use everything that comes from there on exactly. Because I raise meat rabbits also. So that manure and that compost is like a super grower for those plants.
All right. We're going right now. We only have 5
question
minutes
here?
left.
Okay, so I just have a quick question. I saw that when you guys were cutting it off, you didn't cut the neck exactly, but in stores, I don't really see where the necks are connected to the quails itself. So what do you do with those?
Well, actually, we were just doing it in steps. After we pluck, I let it cool down, and then we would bring it back out, eviscerate it. We would trim it up, take off all of the parts that most people wouldn't like. I usually use it to make a broth or stock with those parts.
Thank you.
All right. And it's also important to know that you can also use the blood to make blood sausages as well. And we're going here over here to Chef Adderley. All right. And now we're going to plate up. And this last portion of this presentation.
During the lunch break, ask Chef Robert Butler about the blood sausage. Back to you.
So tell us, Chef Ali, what are we doing?
Okay, we have some potatoes. I took some root vegetables, some carrots, some mushroom, some onions, and just made a pan sauce, a little bit of sherry, and used the flavoring from the quail to give me the flavor what I need so it tastes just like the quail. And then I used a red skin potato. I took the skin off, the red skin off, and we present it with a pan gravy. Light, not too thick.
Notice the presentation. The price just gone up.
And there you go.
There you have it. The $65 plate at any gourmet restaurant. Now we have another quail here.
Okay, this one has a different sauce. Use a little sesame fennel. Add a little barbecue. Make it a little Asian style.
Wow, we have a nice Asian. Oh, yes, they agree. Asian quail with sesame seed sauce. And Sister Pan said one with the homemade marinade. Wonderful. 2 plate presentations presented there. One $65 and one a $70 plate right here at the Calm. And right now we're going to make preparation for Chef Addie Mae Farrington, who is going to come to speak to us about plating techniques. Plating techniques, Addie Mae Farrington. And in the meantime, as she comes, if you have any questions, now is a good time. You can air your questions by raising your hand, and someone will come around with the mic as Chef Addie Mae Farrington sets up. Any other questions?
We have a question over here.
Excuse me.
No, I just wanted to go back to the processing. You had mentioned the use of Dawn dish liquid for the oil, to get the oil off it. Is that what that's for? What?
Yeah, it's just like a cleaning process, just to get off oils and a little dirt. Because, right. It's not like how you think that we just, no, it's just a little bit of.
Okay.
And Dawn
Yeah,
is
so
indeed
that's-
environmental safe. Environmental safe.
No, I just thinking about chemical. If it's a chemical hazard related to the food. Anyway.
Any other things? Excuse me. Any other questions in the audience?
Chef Morley, you are really getting into this over here. She's going to be an expert at the end of the day. Next thing I know, we have quails being raised in Exuma.
Right, Pinky.
Hold on.
Yeah. All right, and there we have it. Travis is all cleaned up, fully processed, and is ready for preparation. How does it feel to stand before the audience and to prepare Travis for a meal?
It feels amazing. It feels very amazing. Am I the first to do it?
You are the first student to do it.
Well, it's an honor to be the first. You know what I'm saying? Representing my little island, Exuma. And yeah.
All right, shout out to all of those from Exuma in the house. Woohoo! All of the Exuma born, they're in the house. And so now, as we give Chef Farrington a few minutes to set up, could you tell us, how was your experience thus far?
My experience was great, honestly. It was no dull moment, especially with the killing of the innocent. birds. But it was really good to learn how to do these things and spark interest in many people watching abroad and here.
Thank you very much. All right. How was your experience? What school are you hailing from?
Central Lutheran High School. My experience so far is good.
All right. It's a great experience. Wonderful. And all the way from AF Adley, the Mighty Tigers. Tell us, what was your experience?
My experience so far was like, it was good, but after I saw y'all was killing the bird, it just like was kind of, I felt bad for the bird because it was innocent, like Kingsley said, but overall it was good. And I got an understanding on how to cook certain things and how preparation is done.
Very good, AF Adley. In fact, it is a learning experience to know exactly where our food actually comes from. We're going to also ask one of the instructors, all the way from Abaco, to share her experience.
So far, everything is beautiful. I agree with the two contestants. It was a little nerving, seeing exactly how the quail got to my plate. However, he is tender, succulent, and very delicious, so I understand.
All right. Indeed, that quail paid a highly cost to be on your plate. He gave up his life and only charged you $70 for his life to be on that plate.
Mr. Butler? We have a question.
All right.
in the
Question
chat.
from the island?
Yes, Kenesha Fowler from Jack Haywood is asking, what is the daily profit from quails?
All right. And so we're going
Both
to
from the growing of them and from the kitchen.
All right. So we're going to ask Chef Adley and Mr. McKinsey to answer that question.
Chef, you go ahead first.
What's the daily
What is the daily profit?
Yielding from...
Well, I can tell you how much. I can say basically there's not much waste on the cooking side because we use 99% of the product. All right, now how much he pays to feed it and keep it and grow it to a certain size, that would be a different cost. Because when he give it to me, I'm straight.
How much would you buy one bird for?
Oh, he'd have to tell me that.
No, from the producer.
Yes.
Already clean. How much you would usually... Let's ask the producer. Producer, how much would you sell one bird for that has already been processed?
Okay, basically they're sold at 5 for 25. That covers the feed, processing, and all that. Right, so basically it's $5 a piece. Right.
Okay.
Right? One bag of feed, a 50-pound bag of feed, about 20 birds will last you about 2 months. So generally, depends. Okay, say if you do 100 birds around, that's an 8. So you make it what?
5.
Yeah.
$5 a bird.
$5 a bird.
So
Here's the 5.
in kitchen costs, you're probably running about 26%, 25%. Now, if you put it in a different restaurant and add different items based on the labor costs inside the restaurant, infrastructure costs, it might go up.
And so, audience, it is good to understand that you will purchase one bird for $5. One bird, $5. But you're selling that plate for $65. So you made a $60 profit. Almost. They're taking away the other cost. But look at it. Look at the markup. You're buying it only $5. All right? 35. But I'm talking about the whole plating.
Yeah, the whole plating, because you have to put
The whole plating.
Remember now, especially if in the hotel. There's the labor cost, there's the electricity, there's the payroll, there's the staffing, there's the gas, there's, so refrigeration. So when you add into all of that, and that's why you get up to about 26 to 28% food cost. So roughly from a bird, you sell at $65, $60, you make about $30 profit which is still pretty good.
All right. And so again, he's adding to what I'm saying. When you would have sell a plate for $65, you would have made that $60. Then you would take away your operational costs, which your profit would have been $35 for one bird. $35 for one bird. Now, if you are selling about 10 of those a day, 10 of those a day a night, then you know that's about $300 you are making per night just from selling 10 plates of quail. All right? You ready? All right, so now we go into have our wonderful chef, well experienced, over 40 years of experience, and an associate professor here at the college, the University of the Bahamas, and indeed the CAM, Chef Addie Mae Farrington, who is now going to demonstrate plating skills. All right, the reason why we're wetting the towel underneath the cutting board is to prevent the cutting board from sliding while we are cutting. Friction. So, Chef Farrington, could you explain to us what we are expecting here in this session?
Yes, in this session, what we're expecting is we had an overview on the last time we were down at Doris Johnson, and it was concerning plating of food and the different styles. All the students weren't there, and we weren't virtual so that they can see all of it. And so we decided that we would focus for the students and the professors and instructors and managers and team managers and principal and head of department to understand when the regular instructor comes and asks for a certain style of plate, a certain style of food or organic, you need to import some stuff from some other family of island, you need to do it, because when you see plating 101, it's simple stuff, but we also find that we do a lot of free range plating, and that is a style as well. But today we have about 8 of them, and there is no secret in anything that we do. All it takes is a little bit of research, and you could just enjoy the different styles of plating. But when you plate, you must try and use the right plate for the right portion of food. Even in the presentation before my presentation, you can see the presentation with the barbecue quail. The plate is a different size from the plate that is just there with the potatoes, and from farm to table, we would call it a farm to table, nice roast quail with a jus. You'll see the different styles of plating. Again, the food is close and clustered so that the food stays warm. When you spread out a hot food all over the plate, it does not hug each other, so you don't have love happening, and by the time the judges get the food, sometimes it's partially cold food, hot food served cold, and that we're trying to prevent as well. So for my presentation, I'm Addie Mae Farrington from University of the Bahamas. My section is the tourism, culinary arts, and leisure management. I also teach at a bachelor level as well at other institute. I coach. There's a lot of things I can stand here and say, but today is your day. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to be plating for you a salad app, a mini salad, a rack of lamb, farm to table, because a lot of us have animals like the quail. We have fish on the island, as well as we have free-range chicken. And so I'm trying to really concentrate on letting you folks know that there's something called culinary tourism. One of our presenters today is from Culinary Tourism Department, from the Ministry of Tourism, also a former student and a competitor on our last team in 2019 before the lockdown. And so what we want you students to do is take in as much of this virtual information. Take notes. Never stop taking notes. I learn something new every day. $5 for one quail, sell it for $65. For me, you know it's gonna be more than that. Yes? And we throw away nothing. And so it seems that the information we taught this young man when he was apprentice at the college, it's trickling down. He wastes nothing. And that's our focus is on today. It's particularly for you, the competitors, the principals, the instructors, the facilitators, the managers of all these young person, and the sponsors. Thank you for inviting me to do your demo.
You are most welcome.
I tell you what. Go on.
Mustn't be much. No, I don't do the light.
You just turn them all over.
Yeah. All right. So we're getting ready now.
Okay, as soon as these lovely folks are done having these bath on these bird, we will be able to have least distraction because everybody's so excited where they're going to be setting up them and shooting every bird in the island back of dove. Remember, there's a time for gaming in the Bahamas, especially the crown pigeon. So again, it's so exciting that we brought a topic that a lot of tourists wants to come to the family island, but they want to not eat fast food. They want to eat from the farm to the table. They want to go to the field with you. They want to dig potatoes. They want to catch them free range chicken, you know, them backyard. And you must know the techniques of method of cooking. When you get those backyard chicken and these quails and stuff, at least these quails are caged and farmed and fed green. But when they go wild, the meat become tougher, and that's why I heard a lot of people saying it's so tender and tasty. But when you got to get the quail from the wild, you got a different method of cooking. And so your method of cooking also helps in you understanding your research. So when you are prepping your menu, if you have to tweak your menu before Wednesday, before Thursday, you must make sure that you're true to your menu with the method of cooking, the technique, and the handling of the food. Hot food is served. Cold food is served. Okay.
So just a minute there. I see you have a lot of offals here from the quails. And offals, again, audience, are the internal organs of poultry birds. And so what are you going to do with these offals? Could you identify a few of them?
All these are love oysters. This is the heart. These is the intestine, the liver, and the gizzard.
Here.
This is like the internal gut.
So is this the gizzard we call the gizzard?
This is the gizzard. This is where all the food is that's been processed. You can see.
Oh, can you all see it? It's all of the food here that has been processed.
Nothing goes to waste. You take the skin off this. These are delicious if you fry them up like little snacks. Salt. Oh, yeah, sauce too. Salt, black pepper, little flour. It's like little poppers in your mouth.
There you have it, a butterfly gizzard. All right. All right. Thank you very much. Now we're back to Chef Addie Mae Farrington. I see we're now cooking with gas.
Okay, just like the competitors, when you walk in the kitchen, this is something we want you to do. Whatever stove you're using, always check the burner because you are the competitors. And you won't be able to call us for assistant as chef. So nor would you be able, I put myself in the student place today as a competitor. You won't be able to call your facilitator in. So the first thing you want to do when you walk in the kitchen, a lot of us doesn't do, is check the stoves, all right? And a lot of your professors and assistant professors and facilitators all were student here, and they use the same place, yes? And so you got to make sure everything is good. One of my dish today would be a lamb, a rack of lamb. And so because of time restraints, we have everything already prepped for time because of the presentation. But we're going to make sure the lamb goes on that grill, and from there, it goes straight into the plate. I'm going to show you the different platings so that we're using, and the different styles in presenting your finished product. Because you're from the family of Island, the PowerPoint, I would like to almost start the PowerPoint as soon as we are ready. As soon as you move away, then, yeah. So we have a PowerPoint presentation. Yeah, she has it. Yeah. Hit to the bottom. Okay, so while we're waiting for the PowerPoint presentation, once you get in, if you have to poach any item, yes, food plating. I'm going to just signal like that so they can rotate because I didn't have a voiceover. So once you get in, if you're grilling, make sure your grill goes on. If you're poaching, make sure the liquid goes in the pot for poaching. If you have to do clarified butter, make sure the butter is on clarified. If you bring it in, the judge might think you bought in something ready-made and done. So while you moving around and setting up your station, the grill is getting warm, the liquid is poaching, and the butter is melting. All right? And so I'm going to go through the plating. In my plating, what I did is I observed the overview from last competition that we had at Doris Johnson. At that overview at Doris Johnson, I just used PowerPoint, not Power Story, because I don't want to put you to sleep. The overview of the food plating PowerPoint is based on the young chefs and their food and the foodies of the Mahatma Rice and Robin Hood Flour 30th annual competition held over the past couple months. In most of the restaurant, food plating can be critical. And we saw that. And sometimes we want to disagree, but sometimes would like to agree. All right, based on the plate presentation now. Because we've been doing this for so long, we don't want you to feel like we want you to be an executive chef. Just do what you do and love what you do. Take notes and let us see the difference come Wednesday and Thursday. One chef, casual, or one chef might create a list of items, top food plating techniques, and then just go do research. Do your research to see the new trends. And that's what I'm going to do based on what we have here. And so, remember, the most technique we have is free form. Yes? Free form. That's free form technique. And what you can do is you can just make sure that free form, and it explains what is free form. And that is like what we always do, free form. This PowerPoint presentation, Miss Turnquest has it, so you shouldn't have any problem having that. At the end of the day, she should present to you. You should email it to all of you so nobody will feel left out. The free form technique seems to be the one that we use. Over the past 30 years, we saw free form because a lot of person doesn't come with circles, triangles, molds in the middle of the plate or anything of that sort. So, free form is what we've been doing. All right? Remember, when you plate 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock. All the food is in the center of the plate. All right? And then we have the next one is landscape. And landscape means you don't overdress your item. Do not overdress your item. There you saw skewers. You could use rosemary. Make sure everything is that bamboo stick. Make sure whatever you use on your plate is edible. Everything's supposed to be edible in your plate. Focus on everything being edible. Don't overdress. And you see me having that there. Don't overdress. And the reason with landscape, we put it there. I have a salad app, we put it there. And what we do is, with us having it there, we don't have a problem with it. If you put too much liquid, it'll shrivel. You understand shrivel? It will wilt. So if you think you accidentally gonna have a problem, just say wilted grains. Because if you say free landscape, I'm expecting that salad to hold up for at least an hour. So you shouldn't have a dabble, and too much stuff. But if you say wilted grains, you can't do anything. It's your terminologies. Yes? Then we have food and organic material. We saw folks, a lot of folks is going into the pan plating. Yeah? They use the cured pine wood to plate their food item. Make sure it's properly shellac and it isn't natural, because it might have enzyme or what is that we get coming out the trees? The sap. And we'll have a problem with the sap. So make sure they're properly laminated and dried out and no sap, because we could be allergic to sap. Even though some of us drink adult beverage and don't have an issue with it, but some of us don't. All right, so, and another thing is the tourist is traveling, especially for the family island. They're traveling to see you using more organic things that in the family island. And I know last year when we traveled, we saw a whole cluster of pine trees, but then we use in China. But if the tourists come to you in the family of island, let's move away. Get into culture tourism. Start using all the variety of palms, not only in the Bahamas. Use what your ancestors used to use. Get into the grape leaf. Don't be ashamed to use the grape leaf, the banana leaf, all the variety palm leaf. Use the things, natural things, because when you travel to international competition, what is going to happen is you're going to see your international competitors using organic stuff. And you'll be like, oh, if only I had done that. Like we got beaten in one country with some big-time chefs, who are big celebrity chef now with shrimp and grits. And one student came out there saying, 5 pound word, my mom would say, because we got beat with something that we eat grits every day. And grits beat us, folks coming from the Caribbean, and the Americans beat us with shrimp and with grits, eh? Let's say grits. Leave it like that. Okay, so when the tourists come to you, you're going to see me doing some presentation where I'm incorporating the rice with what's grown in the family of island, in the field. We say the field. Modern day say farm. Farm to table is whatever is available. And then we have futuristic. Now let me let you know. We call Calm Week. For my futuristic, when you order a meal or drink in other restaurants, you're going to see all the items come. If you order fruit punch, be in another Caribbean country, I can tell you the one that I love. When you go to another Caribbean country, I'm not going to announce the name, but you see they use all the fruits that is available during that time. You get papaya, you get mango, you get sweet sap, you get mami, whatever they have, it's going to be in your fruit punch. So if you're going to serve an item, you say pineapple, coconut, whatever, rundown. I just use that terminology because I don't think nobody have that yet. They might tweet it and put it there. We're expecting to see fresh pineapple, coconut, and all the flavors. And see it in some its natural form. Be it juice, be it fresh, we want to see that. That's futuristic. That's what you're going to see. You, the tourists that travel as culinary tourists, they want to see what you have going on in Andres, Ilutra, Long Island, wherever you are in the family of island, Inagua, Crooked Island, Hushmouth, we got to see Hushmouth last year, but they want to see what is Hushmouth and the elements of Hushmouth. Whatever you present to the tourists, they want to see some of it. So when my presentation, you're going to see some of that presentation where I leave some of the products where you can identify it. Yeah? Don't cream and blend everything. Let me see what you're feeding me. If I'm moving too fast, you can slow me down. But please, if there's any question, you can ask me as I play. Okay, then you have the nostalgic, the nostalgic. This here is way back, history. We used to smoke our meat in the island. Smoke, fish, they had no refrigeration back in the day. But that form of nostalgic olden days smoke, pickled, marinated, that's what the tourists coming for. So when you see that word, they want to see. They want to see the fresh mushroom. They want to see the fillet or fish smoke or pickled looking real. They want to see why they're spending $150 for that 4-course meal, because you're serving them a whole half of a fillet smoked fish or a whole free-range braised chicken, free-range, the chicken that run backyard chicken. They want to see that. They want to see what they're spending their money for, all right? And once you give it to them, I also have some round platters that you'll do those nostalgic stuff in. So I will almost use the round silver platter to present my lamb. And I'll use china for other things. But you'll see the different sizes. And then you have hide and seek technique. Yeah? Hide and seek technique. If you are showcasing Mahatma rice, that's the star. Don't hide her. She should be up there with a tiara on, a crown. She should be the movie star. If the rice is a movie star, make sure she's a movie star. Don't have everything over the rice and I got to look for the movie star. I saw somebody had their rice. We're not going to call or identify nobody because we don't want you to never feel like we think somebody did a better presentation than you. If the flour is the movie star, everything needs to be under the movie star. The flour dish is a movie star. Let us see the flour. Don't hide her. If it's supposed to be crunch, let it stay crunchy. Don't wet her up. I speaking so that you can understand. You good with me? Whoever is the movie star, if it's the rice is the movie star, it's rice. If you want to make that rice in 4 different ways, it's the rice. The garnishes, the condiments and everything on the side, it's fine. You're looking down there. The quail is there. Who's the movie star? The quail. All right? Now your competition is Mahatma rice, Robin Hood flour, and then some of you did an online thing with was the peanut butter. So the peanut butter should be 80, it should be 50-50. It shouldn't be 80% another item and 20% the peanut butter. So that means you would have used up whatever you're using, make sure it's a higher percentage than the garnish. If the garnish is more than the rice, then the rice don't become the movie star, we lose the rice, eh? And same for the flour, vice versa, that's what we say. Okay, so you clear on everything what I'm saying? And you're going to have this. It's in a PowerPoint. Then you have the bathing technique. Yes. So all the things that you have been doing, you get to see the different technique. And I'm competing with the quail. Okay? So I love that. And the reason for that is I'm doing a poached fish. Bathing technique. I need to use the sauce for I did an oven poached fish. So I need to use everything that I poached the fish in. It's going to come out, and I'm going to have that fish in there, and you're going to see me drizzling whatever left that is edible in there. Yeah? So you can almost see a whole 1 meal presentation almost. You understand me? All right? If you are making an item, if you're poaching, braising, stewing, you don't throw away boiling, you don't throw away the nutrients and give me water or milk with no seasoning. I need to taste the fish in that rice or that flour dish. So use every element. And make sure, again, even in the bathing technique, you would see the pasta on top of the sauce. The sauce is to the bottom, the item is on top, the flour dish. And I make sure I put that there so you can see, again, my movie star. Just as if you make a meat sauce and tomato, but like I said, the pasta is the star. The pasta was the star on my dish. And the sauce was to the bottom. Yeah, and it wasn't a whole lot. You don't want everything to be, well, like we say in Bahamian language, soggy. Okay, then you have the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl technique. Remember, a lot of people want to do a bowl. But even in doing a bowl, you have to take more technique than just have it all clustered together. I want to see what's inside my bowl. If it's a fish, I want to see that fish. I'm going to present my poached fish. And then I'm going to present another fish with my rice. So you could see who's the movie star. Yeah? Again, the bowl food, you know, we are a massive trend. Everybody does a bowl. Every fast food in the world does a bowl. But when you do a bowl for Mahatma, we want you to be specific. You want to see the item. Whoever you highlighted, let's see the items. And another thing I made sure have in there, my URLs. We didn't find all of these recipes of our own. So when you give me the recipe, and I not a brain, so I had to do some research, plating 101. And I was taught that by my young students in here who are now professors. And assistant professors are now also teachers and instructors and principal, and the list go on, executive chef. You must list where you found your information, please. And by doing so, at the end of the day, if Mahatma wants to, Robin Hood wants to, Jif wants to, you would have had used some history, go back to where, if it's a Jif product, you go and look for something that Jif does and enhance it. You don't have to reinvent anything. You have standardized recipe, you cannot go wrong. You have Mahatma recipe, you cannot go wrong with cooking the rice. You just tweak it to make it personally your own. The same as the flour. I see a lot of people turn flour into rice, rice into flour, but you must be able at the end of the day to tweak your item and make it your own. Don't go around reinventing, and the stuff is right there on your $2,500 iPhone, and I got a $79 phone, and I ran because they raised the price. Use your phone, Google, put wherever you find your information, so we the judges who have to critique your plate will be able to go and say, oh, they did follow something standardized. Yeah? Any question? All right. I hope I was able to assist you. And that's a wrap on the PowerPoint, and now I'm going to do the plating. I think they're going to give me some volunteers. I think they're giving me volunteers are there. Yeah? I have another volunteer coming down as well. Somebody has my white hat. Yeah. Okay. Okay, another thing. With Brother Robert Butler. Ladies and gentlemen, do not, by no means, put your fingers in your food. A reminder, it's more than us going to be as international judge. And as you see me work today, I have lots of disposable spoon. Taste your food, use a disposable spoon, and let me speak Bahamian. Toss those spoons away every time you use it, yeah? Throw it in the dump. Toss it. Don't double dip. Don't use them again. All right? Hello? Did you get the message? No finger in contact with our food, whether it's hot or it's cold. No finger sticking in the sauces to taste it. You're supposed to have tasting spoon when you're done. What you do with it? Discard. Sophisticated. Throw it away. Don't double dip. Don't keep it on your station. If your sanitation is a point that you have to pay attention to. Okay, so chef, the first thing on top is my appetizer right there. Yes, sir. So, what I have done, watch me, ladies and gents. Even me at 40 years got invited to be challenged in Vegas for culinary educator. But it is what it is. I went for the experience so I could be better at the new trends. So, I'm going to use gloves nonstop. And what I did while I was away, I had disposable cutting board. But the judges sitting down couldn't see my disposable cutting board because we know every time I use an item, I move the cutting board. So they thought that I was using the plain table. So I was like, I always try to tell the student, do you want to borrow my glasses? I almost was supposed to say that to him, but I had to be very respectful, in the people country, So from the minute he said that, I say, well, I know how this game gonna go. I say, Chef, pray. But this thing going west, eh? We know how this thing go. It ain't coming back to the Caribbean. Yeah. All right, so body language is something else, and you do things that you're supposed to do, and I'm gonna use gloves after everything. And on that tray, I have a pack of disposable spoon, Chef. I have some salad plate there. Down low, you're gonna see my salad plate. You could give me, yeah, my spoons. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so these are my gloves. Everything on this table is for my salad and my salad app. Yeah? Okay, yeah. The appetizer plate, yes. So I have the appetizer plate, the pretty little yin-yang plate. Okay, like this. Yeah. Okay, open the oven. Let's put them in the oven. Yes. Yeah, you can bring the dinner plates as well. So, what we have out here is the different plates that we have available at the campus. Do not stress your folks out that you need all these fancy plates. All right? Use what you have available. So when you plan your menu, you plan your menu based on what? So you're with me? So this is what we have, what you left here. Some of us never had an opportunity, Butler never had an opportunity to use it. So now the students get to use those, all right? Okay. And this is a fish plate, but we also use it for our salad. So we're doing a salad app. So we're doing the salad app. I want you to see the stuff. And as well as, we're going to make sure, Chef Clem, we're going to make sure this is a fish dish. Yeah? This is a fish dish. Somebody had a bigger platter, but this is the right size you need for dinner, for your presentation. And I am telling you, go to that place in the mall. They do have sale. Go and look for some nice plates right in there on sale. I'm not going to call the name because it is what it is. Now, no free advertisement here. Okay. As we get ready, I only want to show you can rest this one in the oven as well. With my two other students. I want all the students, especially together. This is my salad. Everything for my salad app is already here. Everything that I need is here. I bought a little extra tomato. I might not need it, but we're doing a salad app. This is our greens. Nice mixed green. It's 2 portions. I'm going to use this twice. Twice. One for the salad app and one for just the salad. This is, you want to bring your stuff because don't be like me. When you go in a foreign country, you gotta fight your way through a lot of stuff. But when you're here at home, coming to Nassau, you could readily get stuff. But just get stuff. Take time out and pick your stuff. Make sure they're all nicely clean. And this is all I need for my salad. This is all I need for my salad. Someone may say, this plate is too small. Maybe. Maybe not. All right? Maybe. Maybe not. All right? All right. So, remember I talking about hide and seek? All right. You know hide and seek? Okay. So this is my salad greens. You see by itself. Then we had another technique where it says what it is? Y'all paying attention? Free form. All right. So we're going to move this quickly. Everything is marinated. All right? And we're just going to rest on our tomatoes. Nicely marinated. Everything straight out the garden. But I want to showcase that nice tomato straight out the farm. straight out the field in your plate. Salad. Remember I said I'm going to use it twice? So here goes my greens. This time, I have some basil and some greens because in this appetizer is a feta and spinach. I'm going to do a little marinade. I'm not going to wet it all up. I want you to see. This one, we want it to stand up. I have my stuffed feta cheese already in here. And we're going to pick them out and we're going to rest those down. We're going to add a little mushroom. We're going to add a little feta because feta is the main one of the item in there. Again, farm to table. Like Louis Perrault would say, there is never a salad without tomato. And everybody know who that is in the culinary industry, one of our mentors. Again, it's not overworked. Yeah? There goes your 2 salad. If the guest wants more, you just do a little, there you go, drizzle. All right, so that's it. Next one, you can move this. I'm gonna move, I need my spoon. I'm the next tray. I can keep the spoons. Okay, again, I'm using the fish plate. All of my items for the fish is here. In this is my oven poached fish. There goes our oven poached fish. Everything we need for this. So, from the oven poach, we have the nice little sauce. Put a little love, this one. We have the nice rice, parboiled rice from Mahatma. That's going to put the rice right on the sauce. So nobody complains that they don't have a lot. Who is the movie star I'm using what? Mahatma rice. All right. I use some of the broth. Make sure when they take it up, it has that fish flavor. And we got the fish nicely poached in a yogurt and broth and seasoning, along with the nice bell peppers out of the garden and the garlic. Again, everything goes edible. Fish dish is complete. Next one, please. Remember, all the mise en place is here. If somebody wants additional sauce, it's right there. Okay. Right. Now this one, Brother Robert, direct her to where the young man is. Let the young man get the bend low and get the platter. Bring my spoons back down, Brother Robert. Disposable spoons. Yeah, the disposable spoon on that tray which she has. All right, lovely. Okay, so this one is the rack of lamb. And what we did is, yeah, we're going to have a hot plate now. So you're going to use the cloth. Don't burn your hands. You pre-cook your lamb. When you're doing meat items, I always, from inception, This is your rack of lamb. I make sure I cover my bones so they still look like a rack of lamb, yes? So if the guest wants to pick it up, it wouldn't disintegrate in their hand. It's protected. Same thing you do with the goat rack, whatever it is. But if you're using goat, remember you have to marinate it in yogurt or milk to be a natural tenderizer. Don't do papaya or pineapple because sometimes we're allergic to that. Okay, put on the board. All right. All right, nothing like that the guest doesn't like. It's showmanship. Okay, this is the rack of lamb pre-done. Yes, ma'am? You could use oat milk. There's a lot of vegan milk. There's a lot of stuff. Well, traveling with the tourist that travels, there is nothing under the sun that they don't have. Yeah, but then there's a lot of food allergies. Right now they're using oat milk. Oat milk silk is a joke. Oats milk is now top of the line for persons who have allergic reaction. I guess everybody could have their dairy product.
Which one of this one?
Oh, I only need the vinegar. Oh, I need this. I think salt. I may need the salt. Well, but we need a couple of quail eggs. Right here. Come, little ladies. Okay, what I'm going to do is you have Kingsway and Princeville, and QC here. And you're just going to drop the quail egg gently in here for the next item, the last item, all right? All right? It doesn't matter if a little shell gets in, we wouldn't be putting it in the pot. All right? Okay, so you drop a couple quail eggs in there, and you're going to use my spoon, and it coagulates. All right? You want to drop like maybe 3 more, and just keep it like that. 1 drop, 1, make sure she pokes it. Okay, so this is the plate. This is the rustic plate that we're using. Hi. All right. Thank you. Oh, somebody is recognizing. Chef has gloves. All right? Yeah. Okay, make sure gloves on both your hands. And now what you see me doing is I'm changing mine. Don't throw them away now. Just toss the used ones. All right? So we change it. Get it low, tilt the pot. Get it low, tilt the pot. And so the acid, don't get the eggs low, break them low and put them in. And then somebody use a spoon to make sure it coagulates. It comes together. Yeah. Now remember what we said about what is the theme for this year? What is the theme? Sustainability. It's a song. Yes, I love that song. Okay, so they say sustainability. All right, so let's do this. Course, land and sea. So, if I am in this competition, I'm going to go in my yard. I'm going to get whatever I have, and let's get it going. And the reason I use a hot plate to keep this platter warm, hot food is served. All right, love it. Cold food is served. Okay. I'm going to do a combination of rack of lamb, and on the tray, you have your chicken. Let's bring the pan up in the chicken. Okay, so we're going to keep the spoons. That's our rice. The last frying pan. Not good. You can just put a little wilted. Remember I tell you, if you put the grains and you say wilted, you don't have a problem. So I just wanted to have some color straight out the field. Make sure she look good. We've been foraging, so whatever you get is what we're gonna use. The frying pan with the chicken. Okay, put it on. All right. So there goes our eggs, yes? And the reason, let's imagine this is the quail. All right? We're gonna imagine this is the quail, and I'm gonna bring it over. So, lamb is my lamb. Remember I told y'all I have elements. We're showing double used. That's the C. What did it say? All right. And then, remember the highlight today was the what? The quail. The quail. Yes? And so, we have a poultry in here that we're going to use. We have a poultry, lovely piece of poultry in here. We don't want this plate too peasant. You all know what is peasant, right? They say we eat very peasant. Again, natural au jus. We have nice thyme. We're not making a splatter, a mess. We drop some on our carrot. We want the plate to look like some action. Let's give me my eggs. Okay? We're going to take out our nice quail, try and pull it over. What it called? Futuristic, right? So that's the fillet of the quail, eh? Fillet of what? And there you have your futuristic. And then we know we have the lamb. We have a combination of that fresh mint out of your garden. Just have a bouncing. Right there. Right there. Futuristic. And you don't want to clutter the plate. So we just have our field greens, our corn straight out the yard, out the farm. Compliment, showcase, make sure we have it. All right? You can move that. There it goes. So, is there any question, ladies and gentlemen? We took your simple plates and we made some fancy, trendy stuff. Was it hard? Was it one? It said plating 101. It didn't say plating 10,000. Welcome to plating 101, 30th year anniversary of Mahatma Rice and Robin Hood Flour, along with 6 years since you've been coming to our conference, and we hope we made a difference and see some exciting presentation on Wednesday and Thursday. Any questions?
Someone from the family island is asking, how much would a plate like this cost in the restaurant?
Well, Chef, I'm going to ask Chef Roll and Chef Clem to fit you in on that, because our Friday night are choices. Our choices to get the best steal deal in the world. You have the appetizer, and this is the appetizer for Friday. And then you have a pan-seared fish for Friday. And then you have the rack of lamb. I made a tweet on it. And then we also have a rice dish. We have a plain rice, and we have a pumpkin rice. Okay? And we have a soup and a sorbet and a dessert for under $60. Because it's a learning experience. Okay? We don't have all this fancy stuff, but we try to do our best. They want to know how much the price for this lamb dish.
In a restaurant.
Now, see, it's a trio. It's not a duo, it's a trio.
You have lamb.
140.
You get fish.
Okay.
You get poultry. With the quail eggs.
This dish here in the gourmet restaurant, you can spend a minimum of $140. And during the busy period, we'll have like 300 reservations for this. So you could imagine the amount of money you're gonna get that night. And that's not the sad part. The good part about it is you just pay for this by itself, but you still got to pay for the veg separate. The veg comes separate. So a dish like these, you know, you're going to minimum these main dishes. Minimum is $65. For appetizers, you're going to spend about $22. Going to spend about $22 for the appetizers. And the more ingredients, the more items you put on the plate, the costlier it's going to be. But all of these dishes are super dishes. You're going to pay the price because these are not just ordinary tomatoes. They're not just ordinary tomatoes. And, you know, as we all know, the price of grouper is like $22 a pound. But, you know, the hotel cost is totally different. So, and you have to make at least a minimum of 30% food cost. So whatever you spend, if you spend 20, you got to make 40. So that's 60. You see what I'm saying? So all of these dishes, and especially with the versatility of these dishes, you're going to pay the price. Yes. Any other question?
And so we're going to wrap this session up. Let's give Chef Farrington, Chef Clement Williams, all a round of applause. And give our wonderful apprentices. Come on, what's your name and what school?
Frigano Makvi, Central Lutheran.
Centrally Lutheran.
Deja Taylor, Queens College.
Queens College.
Rafaelita Hannah, Kingsway Academy.
What a wonderful name, Rafaelita Hannah from Kingsway Academy. And we're going to break now at this time for lunch, and we'll be right back in 45 minutes. All right? So we're going to go for break. Thank you all, your wonderful audience.
And thank you all for tuning in, and we hope you take some pointers on your Plating 101. It's all there. Use that smartphone for a reason.
If you want a taste test, come on down. $140 plate.